What it do, y'all? Welcome back to the Cinema Tribe Movie Show. It is Sunday, which means we are gonna review two movies because we had two. I was gonna say big movies, but they're not very big movies. They're just semi-big movies. I mean, it's freaking September. Summer movie season is officially over. We're getting normal, run-of-the-mill movies. There's one movie that is good, one movie that is really bad. It's like two different ends of the spectrum, and we're gonna talk about those movies right now.
God dang, what you watching now? What you watching? It's the Cinema Tribe Show. What you watching? Intro to my cinema show. Here we come, now here we go. I got a movie review, or a couple, or a double Dutch now. Yeah, I got one question. Are you ready for discussion? Let's do it.
So we had two movies coming out this week. We had Flatliners, and we had, I forgot the other one. We had Flatliners and we had American Made. Starting off with American Made, which is directed by Doug Liman, who directed Swingers, Go, The Bourne Identity, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jumper, The Wall, and now American Made. So there's one notable thing that I didn't mention when I mentioned the movies that he directed. Edge of Tomorrow is a film that is also directed by Doug Liman, and it stars Tom Cruise, and that was what got me excited for American Made. Edge of Tomorrow was so much fun. Nobody saw it, but everyone who did was like, yo, that was a good movie. Everyone's always asking for original movies, but then when one comes out, no one goes and sees it. But I digress. American Made is a legitimately good movie, which is dope because we, as we'll find out later in the show, not easy to come by. American Made tells the story of an American airline pilot who is inducted into the CIA to commit crimes, and they have him smuggling things into the United States or out of the United States, whichever direction they have it going, and then he eventually gets involved with the Medellin cartel, and they have him smuggling drugs, and it's just about how this guy went from an American airline pilot to being Pablo Escobar's guy. And that story is so interesting to me because it's so insane and off the wall, and Doug Liman is a crazy director. He made Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which is one of the funnest movies to be released in 2005. I remember I went to go see that, and then immediately after my mom took me to go to KB Toys, and we bought one of those fake guns, and we pretended to be Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I realize now is weird because like my mom, and like, but like, well, I digress before it gets weirder. Doug Liman, he makes insane movies. He makes entertaining movies. This movie is theatric and cinematic and visceral to watch. It's a fun movie, and there's a lot of plane flying sequences, so like if you're into plane, then this movie's gonna be right up your alley because that was a good 20% of the fun in this movie. A good 80% of the fun in this movie is Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise is one of the best ever. Tom Cruise is a freaking movie star. This movie is completely reliant on Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise. Now, I said in my review on cinematribe.net, go check that out, that this is a conspiracy theorist's wet dream. Not funny. Hey, can you go away? Can you fuck off? Go away! Why are you like this?
Alright, have a good take, buddy.
Don't fuck it up this time. But the reason I said this is a conspiracy theorist wet dream is because this movie is a discussion film. It starts a discussion, but it doesn't actually include itself in said discussion, which is stressful as an audience member because the story is so crazy, and the story shows the fact that there was just this level of incompetence within the CIA and within the government and within all these facets of what is supposed to generally just govern and make sure some shit like this doesn't happen. It's a well-documented fact that the war on drugs has ruined many people's lives, right? And it would have been interesting to see the movie tackle that it was so aggressive on civilians and just everyday Americans, but when it came to the case of Barry Seal, this American airline pilot who was just smuggling people and drugs and guns in and out of the country, it would have been interesting to see the movie be like, that maybe wasn't cool. There's no indictment of what Barry Seal does, and I don't have a big problem with that because that's part of the fun, because I don't want to see consequences and repercussions in a movie like this. I just want to see Tom Cruise have fun, and I want to see Tom Cruise fly planes and make jokes, and the movie's so funny. It's the same situation as with The Wolf of Wall Street. Jordan Belfort didn't get indicted or frowned upon for the way that he cheated the stock market or cheated people using the stock market. But The Wolf of Wall Street, you just wanted to see Leonardo DiCaprio act his ass off, and he does. And that's a similar case with American Made. Doug Liman doesn't want to indict Barry Seal for what he does. He doesn't want problems. No problem. He just wants to make a fun and entertaining movie, and I think he does that in spades. American Made is so much fun. It's exhilarating. It's crazy. This story is insane. And at the end of the day, I had so much fun with American Made. And it continues the streak of movies with the first word American being good. American Psycho, American Assassin, American Beauty, American Hustle. and now American Made. If I had to pick problems with this movie, one of them would be, it's one of those movies when you're in the theater, you're like, yo, this is fun, you're having a blast, you're eating popcorn, you're eating kazoozles, you're having a good time. But then you leave and it starts to dwindle. And I feel that way about American Made. I think I can accredit that to the lack of joining in on the conversation, the lack of a fully formed opinion when it comes to Barry Seal. The movie just vapidly depicts Barry Seal's meteoric rise to become what he became. But outside of that, I had fun with American Made, and that's why I give it a 6 out of 10. I recommend you wait for the dollar theater on this one, but you should definitely see it in a freaking movie theater because Flatliners is directed by Niels Arden Oplev, who also directed the original The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and a criminally underrated 2013 movie called Dead Man Down, and now Flatliners. Flatliners is a 2017 remake of a 1990 film of the same name, starring Kiefer Sutherland, who makes a cameo in this movie, and he is the best thing about this movie because this movie is ass. This movie's horrible. The movie stars Ellen Page, Nina Dobrev, Diego Luna, James Norton, and Kiersey Clemens. That's an okay cast. It's got an okay director. The original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo spawned a David Fincher remake, so there's talent. My only question now is, where's the talent on screen? Because I didn't see it. The movie looks fine. The lighting is nice. It looks expensive. And it's actually not that expensive. Which means the money is all on screen. But the movie I felt like I was in the trenches. I felt like I was freaking crawling through, trying to not to leave. I haven't been this close to leaving a movie in so long. Then there were freaking kids on the right who were just giggling and screaming, and it was a horrible movie-going experience, but I don't accredit that to the movie. The movie's still ass. I still would have had a horrible time even if they gave out candy bars and cookies in the theater, because the movie is bad. I've prepared a little poem about Flatliners. Oh, Flatliners, a film about fratwiners who go to night diners and drink till they've got shiners. The hard line for the headliners is that their careers will die as minors. Y'all might as well retire. And don't worry, no need for a lighter, cause your movie's already a dumpster fire. Shittier than a batch of used diapers. Let's get this movie out of theaters before it expires. Oops, too late. I can't snap. I'm just gonna start here. I don't understand what the characters in this movie did that was so bad for this demon or whatever it is. The movie never clearly defines whatever the fuck is coming after these people, but whatever it is, it's upset at them for something, and a lot of them didn't even do anything that bad. Let me give you the premise. Flatliners is about 5 medical students who become obsessed with the idea of killing themselves and then resuscitating themselves for the purpose of coming back with enhanced abilities. And there's a moment when it's supposed to be about scientific exploration, and everyone's like, we could be the first people to be able to document what happens in the afterlife, and they never really do anything with that except for this weird exposition. This movie's entirely exposition, but there's this weird exposition scene where they just look at a computer for a second, and that's it. The movie is shitty on every front. It falls into 3 genres: drama, horror, sci-fi. So let's break it down by genre. As a drama, it's melodramatic and obnoxious. As a horror movie, it's not scary except for the last act, when there's just these 2 scenes that were kind of well choreographed and entertaining enough to be scary. Outside of that, nothing. Not a single scare. Not even a jump scare. You know it's bad when you're sitting there begging for a jump scare. I'll take it turning into a found footage movie, and just a random best friend is just like, boo, I'll take it. And that does kind of happen at one point, and it was so bizarre because up to that point the movie hadn't set itself up as a horror movie because it doesn't know what it wants to be. And then as a sci-fi is probably where it even achieves kind of proficiency, and even then it's very deficit. It's like low-level shitty sci-fi, and that's only because the CGI is kind of cool. Visually, the movie's interesting to look at. I'll give it that. It's stimulating. It's got its colors, and it's moving images, and it's big, and it looks like a movie, but it's not a good one. The actors all try. Ellen Page, national treasure, should be protected at all costs. Nina Dobrev, giving the best performance of her life. James Norton, I don't even think he knew he was being filmed, but he's charismatic and charming, and I do see a future for him. Kiersey Clemens, oh my god, she was so bad in this. And she's trying, but she just shrieks. Her character is just written to scream, and I can't with you, Kiersey. Then there's Diego Luna, who was supposed to be like a star on the rise, and then he did this, and I imagine his career is dead now. I'm hoping we can resuscitate it. He's not bad in it, but he does have one line which is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. They're all standing around and debating who's gonna go next to Flatline, right? Someone says something to the effect of this makes you better, something like that, and then he steps up and he goes, do you think this makes you better? This makes you dead. No shit, Sherlock. Thanks, bud. It's called flatlining for a reason. Oh my god, someone wrote that and was like, yo, I'm a writer. You're not. Whoever's responsible for that, take a year off of writing and just read books. I'm not saying I'm a better writer than you. I'm shitty at most things, including making videos. At least I'm not responsible for like $17 million. No one's paying me $1 million to do this. That's why I get to suck at it. You don't get to write lines. Like, it doesn't make you better, it makes you dead. I just have problems with that. Like I said, Kiefer Sutherland was amazing. He's so much fun in this. Every time there was a scene where he was just reacting to someone actually knowing the material because they flatlined, it was all of the fun of the movie because he was like, oh shit. Y'all studying now? I'm gonna close on this. The movie is marketed as a horror movie, and nothing pisses me off more than when a movie studio markets their movie falsely. This is not a horror movie. That's so disrespectful to anyone who gives a shit about movies. I respect the cast. The cast tried. I respect creators. And I think that the director and the writer, despite my jokes, should continue to go forth and create things because it's amazing that they did this. It's amazing that they actually got something made because that doesn't happen a lot in the world. But it is so egregious to do that to your audience and to have that level of disrespect for us to market it so falsely. In the end, I'm gonna have to give this movie a 1.5 out of 10. I recommend that you avoid this one like the goddamn plague. Thank you for watching. If you want to see full written out reviews on both the movies I talked about, go to cinematribe.net. Thank you for watching. I will see you next week or tomorrow. I'll see you eventually.
When the day comes that I die, will I have been able to fly?
No prejudice if you understand this. If you don't, then it's a diss. Sleeping on me like a sedative. Baby, can I live my max? I'll tell you, our love was perfect. The closeness, it made it worth it. I guess I couldn't preserve it. Here's how I would have preferred it. I wouldn't be such a clown, cause now I avoid going downtown, especially at sundown. Please just forgive me, my...
You treat addicts like you a friend of them.
I'll get you off of the adrenaline, but the price will be a Benjamin.
Direction, yeah. Maybe need affection, yeah.
Running from my problems, no way to solve them. Lot of bad bitches in my phone, I should call them. Too numb, too dumb. I just own lockings on my hands or a rest. Feeling missing you just like I'm an addict.